2. We're just going to get right into it. 2 Timothy 2, verse 20 says this: "In a wealthy home, some utensils are made of gold and silver, and some are made of wood and clay. The expensive utensils are used for special occasions, and the cheap ones are for everyday use. If you keep yourself pure, you will be a special utensil for honorable use. Your life will be clean, and you will be ready for the master to use you for every good work. Run from anything that stimulates youthful lusts. Instead, pursue righteous living, faithfulness, love, and peace. Enjoy the companionship of those who call on the name of the Lord with pure hearts." Let me pray for the word tonight. Lord, we love you. We praise you. I pray that you would be with these words, that they would not be my own, but that they would be yours. Speak directly to me and even teach me something tonight. Keep us susceptible and aware of what you have for us tonight. In the precious name, I pray. Amen. I don't think it's any secret to anybody in here. You know I'm about to be married in less than 4 months. I know. It's kind of a miracle. I love that, Peyton. Thank you. But there's a lot to do before a wedding. A lot to do. And I thank you so much, Nikki, for being detail-oriented, because I am just not detail-oriented. And you guys will get it way down the road when you already get married, but holy cow, weddings are detail-oriented, and I'm just not wired that way. Thank you, Nikki, for being so wired that way, that you helped me out. But one thing that you have to do is you have to register at different stores to get some cookware, some silverware, all that kind of stuff that you need for your house that maybe you wouldn't necessarily want to buy, so you put it on there so other people can buy it for you as a gift for your marriage. It's actually a really brilliant idea. I don't know who thought of it, but good job to them and props to them. But we're going. One of the places where we're registered is a place called Bed Bath & Beyond. Anybody hear of that store? I think it's a great store. It's a fun little store. But we were in there the other day, actually last weekend, and we got to this one. I had the gun because Nikki's awesome and lets me use the gun to like scan the things. Like, she just goes around and I follow her. Yep, I want that. That was good. Okay. She does ask, and I do have to preface this, babe, because she does ask for my opinion. She does it. She values my opinion. And she asked me, do you like this one? Do you like this one? Do you like this one? And I love that because I get a little say. But really, I just go around and click the gun on things that she wants, and then I might go by something that I like and be like, and then she'll pretend to like ignore the beep just because it's worthless saying something to me because it's already in there, and I have the power to delete and to add and stuff. But she heard that the other time and ignored me. Thank you for just letting me be me sometimes. I appreciate that. But then we get to the section of utensils, and she tells me, you know, we need nice utensils. We need some nice china. So we need a couple different sets of these silverware. And you know, in my guy mind, I'm like, it's silverware. I need to make a PB&J. I just go grab a knife and I do whatever, you know. But there has to be utensils that are stored away to keep nice that you don't use for your PB&Js, because we might have a special occasion. We might have a guest. We might have Pastor Arlie over to the house, and then you just bust out the fine china and all that good stuff, because we don't want to use everyday use for an honorable dinner, right? And little did I know, I just read this passage that I just read to you this week. Like, I don't know how I skipped over this, but I was like, hey, babe, did you know that actually that's scriptural? This whole like have nice stuff and then have everyday use stuff. Like, they actually did that in Bible times. It's directly in the Bible in 2 Timothy chapter 2. Can you believe that? That's awesome. I thought it was crazy, but now I think that is kind of cool. But I love what he does here. As crazy as it may sound, I love what Paul does here, because he takes something that can relate to everybody. Everybody knew. Like, if you were rich and it was a nice house, this is what you did. You had nice things because maybe the king will come over, or maybe some cool priest guy may come over, and we just don't want to give him anything. But he relates it, and he kind of smacks you in the face with this next part when he says, if you keep yourself pure, you will be able to be a special utensil for honorable use. Who wants to be a special utensil for honorable use? I do. I mean, hello, where do I sign up, right? And I hope you're like that. And I got a little visual about that. Over here, we have your everyday use silverware. You know, the kind of stuff where, yeah, you put it in the dishwasher, it's great. But like you can see, like what's this deal right here? I mean, doesn't that come off? It probably does. I mean, I don't know, but this is the everyday use stuff that you go to make PB&J or like have your cereal in the morning, you just go get it. And so you constantly use it. You know, you got this. It's been sitting there since Wednesday night because I use the solution. I'm just kidding. That's fresh and new tonight. But it's like, you know, you got this. It doesn't even match. I mean, seriously. But you don't need to match. I mean, it's just your own home. But we got this guy over here. This little place set here where it looks nice. Ladies, can I ask you a question? Thank you for your permission. You're on a date. It's Valentine's Day. We got that on Thursday. Valentine's Day is coming up. Where would you rather your man take you on a date? Some place that kind of looks like this, maybe McDonald's-esque or whatever. And this place, which is like, you know, a very nice place around here. I don't know. Yeah, nice, fancy. Ladies, just ladies. Which one would you rather go to on a nice Valentine's Day with your date? I mean, just nice, treated. Yeah, I would figure most of you smart girls would say this. Now guys, you need to know that the ladies, to feel special, I don't think McDonald's says, babe, I love you. I mean, I want to make you feel special. You're honorable. Here, pull up in this, you know, skanky green chair here and use your milk froth stained utensils. Or would you like $125 seats right here, all right, each. And then you got your nice glasses with sparkling grape juice. Actually, I don't know what that is. It's not very sparkling. But normally it is, and it's good. But you see the point, and you see these silver, I don't know if you can see these silver, but I thought these were really cool, is look how cool that design is. Like it's just screaming, you're important to me, all right? And ladies, I hope you value yourself enough that you're not going to settle for a guy who's going to take you here for Valentine's Day, and you settle for an honorable one, I hope. It's just a little bit of my first advice. But look what he does here. Cheap, everyday use. Cheap, used. Honorable, clean. You're important, honorable use. He relates that spiritually to purity. True Love Waits, we've been talking about purity. It's pretty blunt what Paul is saying here, that we cannot ignore. If you decide to engage in sex, sexual immorality with your girlfriend, boyfriend, whoever it may be, you and your body are being used. And it's like the everyday use utensil your body becomes because you're allowing people to use you. That's sexual immorality. You keep yourself pure. What you're saying is, I want to be used for every honorable thing that God has for me. Tonight we're talking about committing to our future wife and children. Ladies, gentlemen, your future spouse, do you want to give them the everyday used utensils that is you? Or do you want to give them not touched, new, special, honorable? And let me tell you this, because I know there's mixed feelings in here. Me, you know my story. I was an idiot. I've been in a lot of unhealthy relationships. I didn't think correctly for whatever reason. My immaturity just got to me, and I didn't keep myself. I'm on this side, right here, with the used. Because I can't offer my best anymore to Nikki. And that kills me. I hate that. If I could change anything in my life. Nikki's giving me this. Here. And honorable. Because she kept herself pure. She made that decision. Kills me. to have to tell her what an idiot I have been. A lot of you, most of you, are sitting with your purity. Keep it. Think now, I'm going to commit to my future spouse. Because you might be in love with the person you're with now, but they are not your spouse. Sorry, they're not. You may think, because that happened to me, oh, I'm going to marry this person anyway, because I love him so much, I'm going to marry him, so it's okay to do this. Twice. I'm not married to any of them. Life happened, we broke up, and I'm left scripturally as not as honorable as I could be. And I want to preface this before I move on. My first statement was, I may fail, but God's love will never fail me because it's strong enough to penetrate my failures. I am redeemed and I am cleaned up. But physically, I can never take back what I did. Spiritually, sure, my spirit, I'm clean. I'm new. I'm not that same person. But physically, I can't change that. I can't go back and change that. So I find myself not giving my best. I didn't save my best. I didn't put my purity away only to be used for honorable use, like Scripture says. And he even says, how do you do that? Verse 22, run from anything that stimulates youthful lust. Instead, pursue righteous living. Let me real quick go over, okay, what does youthful lust mean? And I want to tell you this, youthful lusts are actually natural and a part of your life. The desire of the eye. We desire to have and possess. To have and possess are actually normal desires, but the normal desire can lead to the lust for possessions and people. The desires of the flesh is what it's talking about too. For companionship of the opposite sex. That is normal. That is natural. But attraction, it can lead a normal life. But the normal desire can lead to sex and immorality if we don't control that desire. Desires of the flesh can be good, but it can be bad too. The desire for acceptance. I mean, who out there doesn't want friends? Who out there doesn't want to fit in with your peers? Who of you out there don't want approval and to be recognized for something? I think we all desire that. That is natural. It's normal, but it can lead to compromise. And you can compromise your values and morality of the truth that you know. It can also lead to rebellion against authority. You got to be careful. The desire to achieve. You desire to be successful, to find your place in the world. However, it can lead to seeking authority and power over people, to manipulate them and use them for your own good. So you can be good, it can be bad. How about the desire for recognition? You desire to be the top gun, the star, the best looking, the smartest, the most popular. You constantly picture yourself winning the game at the last second. I remember as a kid, I used to have a Nerf basketball set. The kind that you put on your door and you shut the door and it's really nice and sturdy, but you like break 10 of them, so you have to keep going to Walmart and buying new ones. And then, I hope you're like me, where you'd be alone in your room and you'd be at the three-point distance, whatever that may be, with like 5 seconds to go, and you're like, dribble around 4, 3, 2, 1, and you shoot it, and if it doesn't go in, you lose, but if it goes in, you win by 1 point because you're down by 2, and you miss. What's the next ruling? I got fouled, right? I got fouled, obviously, because I missed. So you go up to the free throw line, you need to make all 3 to win, you shoot it, you make it. You shoot the second one, and you miss it. Then what happens?
Lane violation.
Thank you. Lane violation, you get another shot until you win the game because you desire to, I want to be that person that wins it. I've done that I can't even tell you how many times I've done that. Who out there, by the raise of your hand, who has done that? Please, I'm not alone. I can't be alone. It could be in soccer or anything like that. But you've done something because it is our desire for recognition. We just love that. But it can lead to pride and arrogance and a low self-image. The desire to act and to act now. You guys are bursting with energy and ideas, and you want to see them done now. It's like all the success stories. You want it done now. That's a desire, but it can lead to impatience and the mistreatment of people. You disregard people. Also, the desire to be original and creative. I mean, who doesn't want to have that? You have new ideas. You have a better thought. You have a better way of doing things. That is natural. We're designed that way. But it can lead to being critical and argumentative. It can also lead to cheating in order to be recognized. It can lead to restating and rewording of things and ideas and claiming that they are creative ideas. It's part of that whole manipulation. And can I tell you this? This is a charge for young people, because these youthful desires need to be controlled. While natural and good, they need to be controlled. And how critical this is to young people is this. Anyone who fails to heed this charge of pursuing righteous living, faithfulness, love, and peace, enjoying companionship with those who call the Lord with pure hearts, anyone who heeds that, anyone who takes this heed, or anyone who doesn't desire this, look what it says, is doomed to barren and an empty life and lost to eternity. Your purity, your souls are at stake with your purity. Now, obviously, you can be cleaned up. I'm a prime example of that, like I just said. But if the Word of God doesn't scare you, can I scare you in another way of committing to your future? Can I? Because this is pretty tough. Did you know high schoolers, 1 in 4 have an STD? How many knew that? That's 25% statistically. Also, did you know that your parents, grandparents, had to really only knew about 2 STDs that they could have possibly gotten? You know how many you have to deal with? Over 25 that you could get that is known about. Just by being sexually active. You don't even have to have sex. You can do the other stuff too. But 1 in 4 of you. And just think of this. You go and you get married to your spouse who have kept themselves pure. But you're sitting with an STD or 2 that on your wedding night you're going to give to them. How would you like that? I'm scaring you, but literally you need to think about that right now. By committing to your future spouse and children, you need to think that way right now. You want to stay pure. First and foremost because of your love for God. But if that doesn't get you, let me get you with those scary statistics. Because they are scary, but they're true. Some STDs can even prevent you from having children. It may break up your engagement. It could do it. It's been done. Because right now, in your young age, you need to take this charge that Paul has given you in 2 Timothy. Because he was writing to Timothy, who was young. And that's why he heeds this charge. It's that important, teenagers. It is that important. And I wish somebody would have scared the crap out of me like that when I was your age. Because I might be talking a little differently tonight. But if you've already been there, you've already messed up, go to God, get forgiven, and choose His love, and take this heed from tonight forward, because you can be redeemed. That's God's love. That's my message tonight. Let's pray. Father, I thank you so much for your love. Without it, I would not even be standing right here. I don't deserve to be standing here, God. But because of your love and your grace, I am. And I thank you so much for it. Be with us the rest of the night as we continue to worship. It's in your precious name I pray. Be nice to him. He's my boss.
Well, actually, we met on a blind date that I arranged. There was a guy that I knew that he said, I'd like you to meet this girl that I work with. When Sharon got out of college, she wasn't able to get a job right away in her major, and so she was working in the Wise Bakery. And so I said to the guy, which is I think a pretty typical guy response, what does she look like? And he said, she's got a great personality. And I said, forget it. He said, what do you mean? What do you mean? He said, no, she's really cute. And I said, no. When you say personality first and cute second, then that's not a good thing. And And I said, I'm not interested. No, no, no. He said, you need to meet her. I said, well, I'd like to see what she looks like. So I went to the Wise Bakery and bought a donut and looked at everybody and thought, nah. And so I kept going back until I could find out who she was, and she was never there. Well, finally I got frustrated, and I just decided to call and say, hey, my name is Arlie Davis. Would you like to go out for dinner? And she said, yes.
Give a little background. I don't usually go out with strangers, but it so happened that my minister and his wife were very good friends with Arlie's mother and dad, who were pastoring at the time. And so the minister used to talk about this Arlie, and I thought, wait, that's a weird name. I never heard of an Arlie before, and I wondered, what this person might look like. But he would talk, and he'd say he would meet with this Arlie, and I thought, isn't that nice? And I actually was dating someone else at the time, and so but when he called, I thought, oh my, I don't care if I go out or not. I thought, oh, what does it matter? I can just do it once, and then I don't have to bother with them after that, because I pretty much would make up my mind about people right away, like either I liked you or I didn't, or I thought, no, I don't think I want to pursue this any further. But I said yes, simply because I did know he wasn't an axe murderer or anything, because my pastor knew him.
Jen and I went to the same college together, so let's see, she was a freshman and I was a junior, right? Yeah, I was a junior when she came to school, and Jenna was like the hot girl that nobody wanted to talk to, or like all the guys wanted to date, but were too scared to talk to her. And of course, all my friends were just smitten with Jenna, and I thought she was way too far out of my league, so I didn't even try. But that because she dated so many people that I knew, that I learned a little bit about her from one friend, and then from another friend, and from another friend, and then one day, this is why you got to go to Indiana Wesleyan. And one day, it was in the Chinese food line. I was actually talking to my friend Jeffrey about, I said, I just feel like I've dated every type of girl that this school has to offer. And I didn't think I was going to find my wife at school. And Jenna just kind of comes in line and says, hey, how are you doing? And I'm like, oh, okay.
And he gave me an awkward hug.
We talked for a little bit. I said, yeah, we should hang out. One of those things where you never think it's going to happen. You just say it. And then Jenna left with some friends, and Jeffrey said, you should date her. And I said, okay. So yeah, I called her, asked her to go to a movie, and then she she came with a bunch of friends.
I'll give you a little background. Growing up, I always told my parents that I was going to marry a doctor or a pastor, and obviously God had a sense of humor when I married a pastor. Obviously the doctor was for the money, the pastor was for other reasons. But growing up, I had my youth pastor and his wife were such a big role model for me. I always said that I wanted a relationship based around the life that they lived. But yeah, we met at Indiana Wesleyan, and we met in 2005. That's when I was a freshman there. I didn't date all of his friends. I dated a couple of his friends. But we went on, let me tell you this story. We went on our first date, it was to the movies, and it was before we actually were officially dating, and yes, I brought like 4 or 5 of my friends because I didn't want to be alone with them. Our first date was in Indianapolis. He set up this, it was like a jazz restaurant, and we had reservations. Sorry, I don't have a voice. It was like 2 hours from college, and we get there. No, before we even left, he's like, you know what? I need to pick up my paycheck from the school mailboxes. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So he picks up his paycheck. We head to Indianapolis. It's a blizzard. It's snowing. I have high heels on. It's a mess starting out. So we get to this restaurant. We get inside, and he's like, reservation for B&I for 2. And the lady's like, well, I need your credit card that you put the reservation on. And he goes to pull out his wallet and did not have it. So I thought right away, I'm gonna have to pay for this date, and this guy is a loser, and you know, whatever. So he's like, great, what are we gonna do? So we walk back out, I'm sliding all over the sidewalks, going out to his truck, and he's like, oh my gosh, I grabbed my paycheck before we left, we can go cash that. So we went to, I think Kroger was the first place we tried to cash it at, and they're like, we can't do that. I don't remember why they couldn't cash it, they couldn't cash it. And I'm thinking, I'm just gonna have to pay for this date. Just let it go, I'll pay for the date. We tried another bank, I don't remember what it was. This was like at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, on a Friday night, so everything was closed. We tried another place, they wouldn't cash it, so we went one more place. We're like, we'll try one more time. And we went to this bank and they cashed it, so we went back to our restaurant, had a nice date, he paid for it, no big deal. But that's kind of how we started dating. It was kind of weird, and I don't know, but yeah, that was our first couple weeks.
Go on with the next one, or are you going to?
Do we do number 2?
If you want to, sure. Yeah, just briefly.
You can start with that.
We dated, let's see, we started dating officially January 24th of 2008. We got engaged on April 24th of 2009, and we got married October 24th of 2009. So we kind of kept the 24th in going. I told him it'd be easier for him to remember. So. Oh, well, 2008, that was 5 years ago. We dated for a year and a half, and we've been married 3 years, so 3 years and 4 months.
We are actually celebrating our 33rd wedding anniversary yesterday. It's a weekend just about like this. We had a little bit of snow on the ground, so not enough to keep anybody away, but just enough to make things look nice. And we are here today. We dated, was it 6 months? Almost. I was 28, Sharon was 24, and pretty well had my own mind what I was looking for in a life partner, and so did she. And but she just told her mother 2 weeks before we started dating, don't worry about me, it'll be years before I get married. She said, it's just not gonna happen. And 6 months later, we were married. So, but it lasted, and we were pretty confident, I think, of all the things that we kind of experienced and we shared together in common. We both were looking for somebody who spiritually had a heart for God, and wasn't just making it up because they were with us. We wanted to know that about them before. That was really the top of our list. And then, of course, we had a whole bunch of other things that we were interested in that was important for us as far as what we'd like to see. We started dating August 25th. That was our first date. And we got married on February 9th. So.
We didn't have a long courtship, but we were in high school. Obviously, if we had been in high school, that would have been quite a different situation. So we figured we were older and kind of we were through college and everything, so we didn't really have to, wait forever, say a date, whatever, 6 years or whatever. We kind of knew what we wanted at that point, so kind of just got it over with.
About 3 months into the relationship, we had one of these serious talks at Dunkin' Donuts, and because the well wasn't open at that point. And so I said, I really don't need any more friends. I have a lot of friends, and if this relationship isn't going to go any more than just friends, then I think I'm done. And I said, how do you feel? And it was a rather awkward conversation, but she felt the same way. Maybe she wanted a friend, I don't know. But I was serious and ready to keep moving on. And so at that point, we made a decision, and I asked her to marry me, and the rest is history. We have 2 children. Our daughter's Adrian, who's 24, and Aiden is 27.
I remember like a month into our relationship, I was taking a marriage and family class at Indiana Wesleyan, and one of our assignments was to make a list of everything that we were looking for in our future spouses. And I was over at Dan's house one night, and I was sitting on the couch and I was making that list. And he asked me what I was doing, and we started talking about it. And that's really when I kind of knew that we kind of grew up the same way. Our family, we were brought up in church, and we kind of had the same values, same morals. We knew that we both wanted to marry as virgins. We both wanted to raise our children in a Christian home. We both wanted God to be the center of our relationship. So I think that conversation really started something serious for us. At that time, like the next day, he told me he loved me, and I was completely freaked out. But so yeah, we really had that serious talk at the very beginning, and I think that was really important that we kind of laid out, you know, what we wanted, what we were looking for, if this was actually worth what we were doing. And so yeah, we don't have any kids yet. Maybe in the future. Dan wants a whole baseball team, and I would like one. So.
All right, thank you, couples. We're gonna open it up to you, teens, if you have any questions for them about their relationships or just maybe some advice that you'd want from them. And Kia, Maddie. Do you want to whisper into my ear first? Okay. No question. Anybody else? Anybody else have a question? That's not a question.
Kia would like to know if Dan was like Brandon and Brent in college.
Yes.
Wait, what is that?
No. let me tell you my side.
All right, it's easy. No,
Yeah,
next
no,
question. Brief.
Yeah, this is the brief answer. No. Brandon, Brett, and I were really close. We did just about everything in college together. They actually lived with me our senior years of college. It was a battle between all 3 of us at times, which one got to be the father of the house, because there were times where each of us kind of took responsibility for you know, depending on what was happening in everybody else's life. There were times where like I was single and Brett and Brandon were dating, and I kind of felt like the responsible one, but then there were times where Brent and I were dating and not each other. And Brandon was the responsible one. And then there were times where Brandon and I were dating people, and Brandon and I had to be the responsible one.
He's not here.
We were all we shared the responsibility.
We hung out together, yes. Austin got over there.
Pastor Arley, don't take this the wrong way, but how did you know, like, after only 6 months that you were gonna marry her? Like, was it something like God laid on your heart, or did you find it hard to stay pure? I mean, like, what's the reason there? Because 6 months to me seems kind of short. You know what I mean?
It is short. It's very fast. I definitely would agree with you. I probably wouldn't encourage people to only go 6 months. Unless, like, you're at a point in place in your life where I think both age and where you are stage in life, you probably know better what you're looking for and what you want. Sharon didn't date a whole lot before I dated a lot. It just was, I don't know, it was just part of life, I guess, but and our circumstances. And she was waiting for this knight in shining armor that was going to come along. I don't know that I was ever quite at that level, but we both had a list of criteria that, like, we really were wanting to find in a person. I mean, like, some of it was maybe silly, but obviously that you had to be attracted to the person physically, and you had to find somebody that you felt attracted. Spiritually was the top of our list that we wanted. They wanted to have a heart for God. I wanted somebody who loved music and was musical, was a part of music, and so did she. I really can't play the piano, but I played it on our first date, and she thought that was really awesome. So learn one song at least, so you can play on the piano if they're musical. And so there was just a lot of things, similarities as far as our background, our family settings. We both grew up in Christian homes. Both our parents were actually in the music industry. Both our fathers were pastors. So there's a lot of similarity, kinds of things that we thought were like in place and kind of felt like, wow, this is like exactly designed. Now after we got married, we realized how much we weren't alike. And that was the hard part, because we didn't work through all of those before. And we had to work through those as a married couple. But we were both very committed to being pure. I lived, you probably heard my testimony in church, and I lived a life that was pretty wild in college. And however, I committed in my brain. I did this when I was about 16, 15, I think it was. I wasn't even a believer, I wasn't a Christian. I just committed to being pure. I had a friend of mine, she was like a sister to me, and we were just best friends. And we both committed to being pure when we got married. We wanted to make sure that we were going to offer our partner our full self, not to anybody else. And so, although I did a lot of wild and crazy things through college, I never gave in sexually, because I just felt like that was something that I wanted to hold and I wanted to save. And so Sharon was very committed to being pure as well. And that was just something that was very, very vital. My parents, had committed to being pure. So, and their relationship was probably very short. Also, their dating, that they lasted 68 years of purity with each other. So there's just, I can't really say any reason that we just felt like we were ready.
When I was in high school, I was very shy, and so I was the type who was like a bookworm. I loved to read. I spent a lot of time playing the piano. I was more an introvert.
She was the smart girl. I was the party boy.
So, obviously, the shyer ones, you just don't, I wasn't really getting out there or anything. So when I met Arlie, I felt like God had brought us together, and at that point, I felt like this was what God's plan was. I just had a feeling about that because I had always prayed and asked God to, I had never felt that I would have the wisdom to choose my own partner in that sense, because I knew, I think sometimes you look at someone, you're thinking of criteria of looks, or you're thinking of, I had this list of, they had to do this or had to do that. But a lot of those things that I had on my list weren't necessarily like eternal things or things that would make for a long-term relationship. So I felt like, the Bible always said, if you lack wisdom, ask God and He'll give it to you. And so I said, God, would you please choose my partner for me, because I don't know that I have the wisdom to choose, like the person when I pick the criteria, I might pick the wrong things. And I felt like when I had met Arlie, shortly after I met him, I had felt like he was the one, because I knew he was a very committed Christian, and I really liked him, and we just kind of clicked the first night. We talked and had a lot of books in common and things like that. And I feel like if you trust God and just say, God, don't, you pick the person for me. You know who's best. You can see out ahead. You know what's going to happen down the road. Just commit that relationship to God and ask Him to close the doors to any relationships that would be wrong. Because you don't know out ahead what person might seem really nice, and then down the road, you might discover they're horrible. 5 years later, you think, what did I see in that person? But But if God picks the person, you can trust who God picks for you. So that's, I think, one reason why I did feel safe about going in. Like I said to my mom, I'd want to know a person for years and years, don't worry. But I did trust Arlen, and I feel like God gave me that feeling of safety and trust for him that I could do that.
I kind of want to know, I have a bunch of questions because my mom never really set a good example for me. Like, did you have doubts when you were younger about getting married? Because I personally don't believe in it for myself. I've seen too many marriages fail. And how did you know, like, when you were ready, like, what was it specifically that let you know? Are things different after you get married? In a good or bad way, like any way?
Like for me, I just feel like I always just trusted God because, like I said, I feel like I had the wisdom myself, and like I didn't have this like vast dating experience, like like Arlen did, because I was shyer, and so you don't know like what you're gonna get into truly, and so I felt like God had to guide me, and so He was my only guide, and I felt like if God brought this to me, then it was safe, and I would obviously. If he hadn't been committed spiritually, that's a red flag. He didn't have the red flags. I think God gives you discernment about those things that you can see, is this person's life lining up with what the Bible says? If it's not, even in one area, don't go there.
For me, it was a little different. Unfortunately, I went through a lot of bad guys. I dated, in high school, I dated the jocks. And they ended up being the bad guys. And I thought that was fun in high school because, they were popular and I was dating them. Everyone saw me with them on their arm. And when I got to college, I think it hit me when I was in a Christian environment that that's not who I want to marry. That's not who I want to grow old with. The biggest thing for Dan and I was before we were too serious, we became very good friends. We were friends before we started dating, but we became best friends. And I trusted him, and not only with, our dating life, but also with our friendship as well. I think that's really important in a relationship, to be friends first, to get to, really know that person and trust that person, and then let it go.
I think your questions are really valid and very important. The fact is that I find this when I do premarital counseling with couples. One of the questions I ask them is, can you tell me of another couple in your life or another relationship that has a really good marriage, and you'd like to have a marriage like theirs? You cannot believe how few people have anybody in their life, like their parents, their friends, and here they are. And I almost want to say, well, why are you getting married? Like, if it's not working for anybody else, why do you think it's going to work for you? And yet, there's some kind of hope that's in us that this is going to be different. This one's going to work. And everybody wants to believe that. But the reality is, if you've had bad examples all around you, then you've got to figure out some good ones so you can actually see what it's like and focus on them so you can reproduce a good example. Because if you don't have those, now you guys, like this is amazing how many good examples you have in your leadership team. It's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. Relationships like this, and Mike and Jill, and Jeremy, and Tev, your name went out of my head. I did their wedding, and I was so impressed with their vows and how they shared their love for each other. It was just amazing, amazing. And so you guys have great models that are here of young people who have great relationships, who are modeling what it's supposed to be like. And that's what you need to look at, because divorce rates are so horrible. And then those who aren't divorced, they're not even happy. I mean, so like you think, so why do people get married? I mean, because it's not working. But it's possible that it can work, and it can be good. And that's the importance. And I think, Sharon's saying, finding God and let Him pick your partner and letting Him be in the center of your lives, that's the key. It's really a key. And it can be good. You don't have to be afraid. It can be good.
Marriage is definitely a step up from dating. And I know that sounds really like duh. It's easy to date someone. It's very easy to date someone. When you step into a marriage relationship, there are so many things that you think will become more easy that sometimes turn out to even be harder. There are things that you find yourself, I don't want to say you change who you are, but you know, in your vows you say that you will put that person first in your life. And that's not the same as a dating relationship. I remember one night Jenna and I were sitting in my truck, Jeep, whatever I drove. And it was after I did something really stupid, which happens a lot. And I told her, I said, look, I want to continue to have a relationship with you, but if you're expecting this to just to turn into something that's going to be perfect, that's going to be flawless in any way, I said, I can't give you that because I'm a fallen person. I can do my best, and I will do my best to serve you and to love you in the best way that I possibly can, and to give everything to her. And when I told her that, she was kind of shocked, like me actually admitting that our relationship was actually going to have some downs as well as ups. But it was when we went from that point forward and she said, I'm willing to actually work at our relationship, that when hard things come, instead of just giving up, that we'll actually team together and work through it. That's when I knew that this was a person that I could spend the rest of my life with, was because it was someone who didn't want to just throw in the towel when things did get hard. I think that's really important to find in a relationship, and sometimes people can make that commitment early on, and like Pastor Harley was saying, go for 5 years and then find out this is not the person that I remember marrying, or this isn't the same, or things have changed. When Jenna and I argue, and we do argue sometimes, there are even boundaries in the way that we argue, that we say we don't play with the word divorce. That word is not an option in our household, because that is never an option for us. No matter how bad things could possibly get, divorce is not. There is no, well then why did you ever marry me? We don't go there. That's just like you do in your dating relationships. You set physical boundaries. There are other boundaries that you can set as well in your relationship to make sure that you protect each other and always give each other trust that you will always be there. So I think a lot of what Pastor Harley said in the maturity of where you are and when you're able to actually take a step into that relationship plays a huge part in whether or not you should get married.
I have one more question. Okay, I want to know, because I've made mistakes in my life, is it any different for the fact that he has been with other people? Like, does that have an effect on what you feel, and does it kind of put a strain on you? I want to know.
This is going to sound horrible, but but I told Brandon, honest to goodness, I do not have one, maybe, and all of my male friends, maybe one of them is still a virgin. And so I kind of had this preconceived notion that I would not be married a virgin. And I just kind of came to grips with that. Did I want to marry a virgin? Sure. But I thought, you know, either way I'm going to pray about it. If God leads a man into my life and he's not a virgin, it's still who God led into my life. And I'm still okay with that. And that's going to be part of his past. And, you know, God forgave him, so I have to forgive him also. And so, you know, that's, and we talked about it and we worked through that. And, you know, God gives us grace. God has given me grace. And it is our privilege to give grace to other people as well.
It's a good question. We have to end there. Sorry, you can ask more questions online if you want or something, but it's about 8:40 right now, so